With the 15th pick and with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat.
Yeah, that was, I really, other than that, though, there was no great fear. That's a broken bone. You hear about broken bones all the time in sports, in life.
But it turned out to be much more complicated than that.
Yeah, I greatly underestimated the complexity of, first of all, a broken tibia and fibula, and how hard they are to heal. I had some unforeseen things happen. I had a pretty serious infection that had a lot of complications with it, a bunch of surgeries that ended up leading to, basically a limb salvage surgery for my leg, to save my leg. Faced with the decision to amputate or limb salvage, and elected, obviously, to try to save my leg, and thankful for the doctors that did so.
At what point did you have to make that decision about whether or not to amputate?
It was actually, I was supposed to get discharged. The initial surgery went great. Bone was lined up. I had several plates put in my leg, and everything looked great. I was getting ready to go home. It was right before Thanksgiving, and that's when the initial infection was spotted. This is a few days after the surgery, and
sepsis.
I went septic. Yeah, it was a infection that had gotten into my blood, and at that point, I don't remember much for a few weeks. I had quite a few surgeries in a row, debridements, trying to get the infection under control. And then next thing I remember is waking up several weeks later faced with the decision of amputation or limb salvage at that point.
I'm not being melodramatic here when I say at one point it wasn't just your leg that was in jeopardy of being removed. Your life was hanging in the balance.
Yeah, and that wasn't really present for any of that. You wake up and you hear that. You hear your wife and family, and doctors tell you how close you were. Having gone septic, I had no idea what that even meant. I didn't know the mortality rate. Didn't know how many people sepsis kills every year, even in hospital care. It's that dangerous. So very much lucky to be alive. Very lucky to still have my leg. Going back to your original question, good to be here.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sister. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report. So, you just heard from Alex Smith on what was a riveting interview on Outside the Lines with Jeremy Schaap the day before the Super Bowl. I wasn't privy to this initially. Heard a snippet of it on the Kevin Sheehan Show podcast. And so I said, well, let me go take a listen for myself. And I consumed the entire 15-minute sit down. And they're going to do they're going to do this series on Alex Smith, his road to recovery on ESPN. And they took little snippets from that, and they talked to him, as you could see, or as you heard there, a part of the interview, but you can go online and find the entire interview. It's good stuff. And I felt like this week, and I'm going to do another video, and we're going to be live on Wednesday night and talking Redskins, all things Redskins. And I felt like last week was a very informative Redskins week. We learned a lot of things that we previously didn't know. We still have a lot of things that we have to see unfold, but we're starting to put some of the pieces of the puzzle together, and we're starting to get a feel for where Ron Rivera is in his thought process, and we're drawing inferences. We don't know if we're correct or not, but we're getting enough information to start trying to connect the dots, if you will. And I thought this Alex Smith interview, it was very telling, and I don't think we really fully understood just how severe this injury was. Yep, we saw that whole contraption on his leg, the fixator, all right? Yep, we saw him in a wheelchair, and yeah, we knew he had multiple surgeries. Yep, we knew he had an infection, but we didn't know the severity of this injury. I don't think we actually knew just how serious this thing was. Alex Smith almost died, okay? Forget about having his leg amputated. He almost died. You heard him talk about going into septic shock, okay? And he talked about the mortality rate for septic shock. So I looked it up. It's anywhere from 40 to 60%, depending on your age and different circumstances to your condition. Generally, it's on the high end of 60% for those who are elderly. And as you come down in age, you have a better shot, not a great shot, okay? You still got a 50-50 shot, essentially, to die if you go into septic shock. And you heard him say he was out for several weeks. He had no clue what happened. They told him after the fact that he almost died. He said, I wasn't present for that. Like, it was an out-of-body experience or something. He wasn't there in the room because he wasn't conscious. Unbelievable. And then when he wakes up, he has a decision to make. Either we're going to chop your leg off or we're going to have to pull a graft from another portion of your body to try and fuse your leg back together with a metal plate. Which one would you prefer? Obviously, he took the option to try to preserve his leg. All right? Unbelievable. And to hear all of that and then hear him in the same breath talk about still wanting to play is remarkable, almost unbelievable, and there is no way in hell. I've said this from the jump. I said, I don't think Alex Smith plays another down in the NFL. I couldn't see that taking place. After hearing this, I'm doubling down on that fact. And I know what Ron Rivera told you guys, and we'll talk about what Ronnie Riv was doing all weekend on Radio Row and in Miami leading up to the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that on this video, on another video, and possibly on Wednesday night as well when we go live. But Alex Smith talked in that interview about wanting to play. And I don't doubt his competitive spirit. If anybody could get themselves in a position to get back on the field, it's Alex Smith. I don't doubt that for 1 second. But in my mind, I equate what Alex Smith is doing right now to the guy that's married, all right, happily married at that, all right. But in his former days, he was a player, all right. He was in the club getting it in, all right. And he was pulling numbers every single time, and he had them on a string, and he had them in the Rolodex, and he knew he could pull them at any time. And now he's married, but he gets that itch. All right, he sees the young boys out there pulling them, and he's like, yo, I still got it. And just to prove to himself, not to anybody else, but to himself, that he still has it, he goes and he gets a number. Now, he throws that number in the trash. I've seen guys do this before. All right, that's not my cup of tea, but I've seen guys do this before. Go get the number, satisfy that itch, mentally tell themselves, I still got it, put it in the trash, and keep moving like it never even happened. Alex Smith wants to be able to get, and this is my personal belief here, and I'm hoping this is his preference as well. I would hate for him to get back on the field and something catastrophic happen. If I'm the Redskins organization, I wouldn't be able to live with myself if we put Alex Smith back on the field and something happened and he could actually have something happen to the point where he dies. And again, that's the extreme part of this. But if he has to have surgery, then there's a chance for infection. If there's a chance for infection, there's a chance for septic shock. If there's a chance for him to have sepsis, that's a chance I'm not willing to take if I'm Alex Smith, his family, or the Redskins organization. I'm sorry. But forget about all of that. After listening to him talk, I'm willing to double down on the fact that he's never playing again. I think he wants to get to the point where he has worked his way all the way back, is given clearance, and he knows in his head, I did it. I could have gotten back on the field if I wanted to, but I'm not, okay? It's too much of a risk. He's got kids. He's got a wife. That was a close call and a near-death situation. I don't think he wants to go through that again. And I don't know if he's willing to risk at the age of 36, possibly 37, because we don't even know when he said in this interview, he can't step back on the field until he's 100%. He's not there yet. And I'm going to surmise, and I don't know if, doctors are projecting him to be ready for training camp or whatever. I surmise that he won't be ready. And at some point, he'll be 100%, whatever that is. He'll never be the same Alex Smith again, I don't think. All right. But he's not getting any younger. It's not like he had this injury at 24. He had it at 34. So you're getting a less mobile 36, possibly 37-year-old Alex Smith. I don't see that happening. All right. So I did this video to reiterate to those of you out there listening to Ronnie Riv, and let's get to Ronnie Riv, because Coach Rivera was out on Radio Row and doing his rounds on ESPN and Fox Sports 1 and all of these different networks and all these different broadcasts, Redskins Nation and everywhere. He was everywhere, as a lot of coaches are, for the Super Bowl. All right. And so he wasn't any different. First year head coach, new spot. He was doing his rounds. And you kept hearing the same thing over and over again. We got a competition. Don't count out Alex Smith. Dwayne, we love a lot of the things we saw from him. He brought the Detroit Lions game up several times. We love this guy's poise. They had to go down the field and get 2 field goals to win the game, and he led them down the field. I would like him to not be taking selfies while he should be kneeling down, but there are a lot of things that we liked. We see him as a Ben Roethlisberger type of quarterback. He's big, he's physical, imposing in the pocket, big, strong arm, can make all the throws, has sneaky athleticism. All of the things that we saw on display last year, he pretty much referenced it. And then at the end, he made sure he went out of his way to make the reference of, don't forget Alex Smith. All right? Alex Smith is a guy that has won in this league. He's a veteran. And he is going to be in this quarterback discussion as well. Don't count out Alex Smith. And simply put, what Ron Rivera was doing there was he was keeping Dwayne Haskins in check. He was keeping him on his toes. And I've said this to multiple people who have sent me tweets and sent me direct messages on IG with various posts of Ron Rivera talking here and Ron Rivera saying this and Ron Rivera saying that. We've had people hit me up on these different live streams that we did. Did you hear what Ron Rivera said about Dwayne Haskins? Did you hear what Ron Rivera said about Alex Smith? All he is doing is making sure, reinforcing something that he's already done, something that his offensive coordinator, Scott Turner, has already done, but he's just making sure he dots his I's, crosses all of his T's, and making sure that Dwayne Haskins understands. We're not handing you anything. All right. We need you to earn it. We need you to show up for the OTAs and be a leader, be in the playbook. We need you to be the first one in, last one to leave. We need you to be the leader of this team. Alex Smith said in this interview that he understands the position that he's in. He says, not my first rodeo of a team drafting a young quarterback and me, pretty much being in that mentor role. It happened to him in San Francisco. Not really more of a mentorship role there. More like, damn, what happened to my job? I got hurt and I didn't get my job back. But in Kansas City, saw the writing on the wall. Now he's seeing it again here in Washington due to the injury. At the end of the day, Alex Smith, I think, is going to be on this football team in a mentorship role with Dwayne Haskins. I do not see this guy taking a single snap for the Washington Redskins. I expect the Redskins to go out in free agency and acquire a veteran backup quarterback, another one of these Case Keenum types, to come in here and be behind Dwayne Haskins should something take place and they need another guy to step in. I don't anticipate that guy being Alex Smith under any circumstances whatsoever. And so what I'm telling you is that Dwayne Haskins is going to be your starter week 1 next season. Don't listen to all of the hype about Alex Smith and him being a part of this competition. I'm telling you right now, there is no way in hell the Redskins are going to put Alex Smith on the field. All right. I just, at least in front of Dwayne Haskins. If Alex Smith sees the field, it's not because Dwayne Haskins got beat out by Alex Smith in a quarterback competition. That's not happening. It will be because Dwayne got injured or Dwayne is playing so horribly that they don't have any other recourse but to put in Alex Smith. And that's if he's healthy enough to go. But under no circumstances will there be a quarterback competition this offseason and the victor will be Alex Smith. In no way, shape, or form do I see that taking place. I'm just telling you my personal opinion. I do not see any way in which Dwayne Haskins is not your starter week 1 outside of something happening from an injury standpoint. Okay, Dwayne's going to put in the work. I'm confident that he learned his lesson from last year. He hears. He's not deaf. He understands what's going on here. All right, they're repeating themselves over and over for a reason. All right, so I think Dwayne's got the message loud and clear. He's going to be your starter week 1. Whether that's for better or for worse, we'll find out together. I'd like to think that it's going to be for better, but we're going to find out together. But one thing's for sure, after hearing Alex Smith speak, he wants to play, but I think it's more about him proving to himself that he could than him actually wanting to get back out there and play in the National Football League. And if I'm his wife, there's no way I'm letting him get back out there. I know that's what you want to do, and we're going to allow you to push towards that goal because it's giving you that drive and motivation to get out there and get your leg as healthy as possibly can be. But you can get all the way up to that ledge, but you can't cross it. All right, you can't step over that ledge and actually step back onto the field. So that's how I feel about the Alex Smith situation and the news that we were able to receive over the weekend with his whole situation. We did not know it was that dire, and honestly speaking, it kind of reassures me that Alex Smith isn't playing, and Dwayne Haskins, furthermore, is going to be your starting quarterback come week number 1. That being said, got another video that I want to talk about with Vernon Davis retiring, so I'm going to go ahead and jump onto that and give you some information there. And I also want to talk about Trent Williams because Ron Rivera gives a little bit of info there. So Ronnie Rib was busy. His lips were loose over the weekend, so gave us a lot of information, a lot of things to chew on. So we'll talk about all those things and then some. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Remember, I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. Another video coming. Remember, we'll be live on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Redskins Report Live. Be there, and we'll be chopping it up, talking about the burgundy and gold. I'll see you next time. You guys have a good one.
Louie T Network.